Hello,
back. Happy
Danielle.
New Year. How's it
Happy New
going,
Year.
lady?
Good. How are you doing? Good.
So
I'm
far, so good
excited.
in the new year.
Ever make like resolutions or anything? Do you focus on eating healthier? What's that like for you?
Um, this year I told myself I was not going to purchase anything extraneous that I didn't need. However, I don't know what constitutes extraneous. That's going to be a hard one to keep for an entire year. What about you?
Yeah. Well, okay. So if I set that as my goal, so my thing would not be anything extraneous because to me, nothing is, like if I spend $400 to go to Ireland, that's not extraneous. That's a necessity.
Well, yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
I try never to make resolutions just because I don't like the pressure of it. But I
Right.
do like the like fresh start of a new year when it comes to food for me. Because being a
Oh,
chef, being on and off overweight most of my life, I usually use it as an excuse to be like, okay, I'm just going to kind of eat clean. I'm still going to go have beers with friends. I'm still going to have
yes.
chocolate. I'm not going to not have anything, but I want to
Right.
focus a little bit more on that, which is kind of where this recipe came from. Would you like to, spoiler alert, tell everybody what we're making?
So we are making a chicken pot pie that is Diggs's recipe that she developed, and also a cool crust that she's going to teach us how to prepare, how to roll out, and it only has two ingredients. So it's very exciting.
Yes, the beautiful thing. I like ease, especially in the new year.
Mm-hmm.
Ease is a beautiful thing. So
These
yeah, we're
is a
gonna,
beautiful thing.
and I want to kind of preface it too. Like you can mix up the vegetables in this. So basic chicken pot pie usually has like frozen veggies or canned vegetables. A mixture of like beans or lima beans, corn, green beans. You can really do whatever you want. So I actually have, in addition to our mirepoix, and mirepoix is onions and carrots and celery. I have mushrooms, and I actually air fried some rutabaga.
Ooh, yum.
I've never tried it before. Last time I just did mushrooms and the mirepoix and then a lot of chicken. That, don't worry, everybody, we used rotisserie chicken because,
We
again,
totally did.
ease.
Ease.
Actually, I'm gonna be honest. My chefs at CIA would probably murder me, but I bought my mirepoix cut already.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Shame. I'm just kidding.
I know.
No,
How's
that's
that
a
right?
good trick for, shortcuts.
There are
Buy your
just
rotisserie
sometimes.
chicken. It's perfectly like seasoned and cooked for you, and sometimes, most of the time, less expensive than actually buying
Yeah.
a raw chicken nowadays and
Uh-huh.
cooking it yourself. I'm a huge fan of the Costco rotisserie chicken, so that's where
I
mine
have a
came
Sam's
from.
closer to me, so that is where I go for mine every time, hands
Amazing,
down. Yep.
amazing. But the mirepoix, do you want to talk about mirepoix real quick?
Yeah, so mirepoix is kind of the basic, it's a good basic addition of flavor to a lot of recipes. So anytime you see onions, and it's usually like if we're looking at amounts, it's like 50% onions, 25% carrots, 25% celery. And there's variations on mirepoix, but that's kind of the basic. So it's a good base to add flavor. It's going to be the first thing that we actually saute with a little bit of cooking spray. And yeah, it just adds flavor. It adds some bulk, especially to this pot pie. But like for soups, for just about everything, mirepoix a lot of times is involved.
The reason that we chose pot pie, which I don't know where everybody is who's watching this, but where we are in
Yes.
Colorado and in Illinois, it is freezing outside. And so we were
Yeah.
looking for something warm, comforting, easy to prepare that, just is a feel good meal when you are frozen to the bone and just hearty, hearty and
Yes.
delicious. So,
Let's
shall
get
we get
started because
going?
yeah, I'm getting
Yeah,
hungry thinking about it. All
let's do
right,
it.
let's spray my pan.
Okay, let's spray. We are trying also a new view, an overhead view, so you can kind of see what it looks like from up above. Watch Diggs while she does it over there, and watch the two of us BS. So you've
We're
got this
really good at
over
that.
medium heat? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Medium
And I'm
heat.
giving it a
Oh,
pretty, like medium high. I would say, like, give it a really good spray. And I'm also going to end up spraying a little bit of cooking spray on top of the veggies.
just kind of coating the bottom.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I always like to just kind of check the heat of my,
Okay. Mine
yeah,
just came
mine's,
on, so we're going to give that a second. Okay. I'm so excited for this. So
I'm excited because I'll
delicious.
have like lunch for a week.
Right? That's another good trick. Like when you're preparing meals, don't be scared to prepare enough that you have leftovers that you can eat off of for a day or so. One of my other every year resolutions is to drink more water. I go the whole day and I don't drink any water. So
Oh, I try
this
to be
is
pretty
like,
intentional about that. That's another thing
oh my
usually in the new
gosh.
year, especially winter months. It's always tougher because it's cold and you don't think about it as much. So,
Right.
woohoo.
Ooh, I
All right.
talked a
So,
lot of mirepoix.
oh no, I did too. But this is, it's part of the veggies, that and there's so much flavor with onion, celery, and carrots. So once I put it in, I'm going to go ahead and just spray the top a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I just want to make sure it has enough grease to it. And for this, we're going to cook it about 5 minutes or so. We really just want to kind of sweat it and get it to soften a little bit. We're not really looking for color necessarily. So we just wanted to kind of get started cooking.
Okay. Now, do you ever season at this point?
I usually just do salt to start. And then when we kind of add everything towards the end, we'll add some cracked black pepper. But I do like to season as I go. And that is why in a lot of recipes, I know it'll say like, quarter teaspoon of salt. Season it to taste, everybody. Some people can't have sodium. You can adjust. Some people, I have not been told by my doctor yet that I need to watch the salt. Until then, I'm going to cook like I was trained at culinary school.
Let me tell you, the day that comes, and God forbid it does, that's going to be a sad day for me. I am a salt loving queen.
Me too. So just kind of keep an eye on the heat, keep it moving, every 30 seconds to a minute or so. Just we don't want it to burn. That's what we always want to be cautious about. Yeah, it already smells amazing.
It does smell amazing.
Now, for everybody watching, like during this time, you could be now we've got everything like done ahead of time, but I know not everybody necessarily gets the chance to mise en place out everything, which is just measuring everything out. So like we've already chopped our chicken. I've got my mushrooms and rutabaga, got my salt, I've got thyme, I've got some fat-free cream cheese that's going to add a little bit of creaminess. I've got chicken stock. We're going to add some flour to help thicken it up as well. So, while your vegetables start cooking, you can always get that stuff prepared if you didn't get a chance ahead of time.
You can prepare all of this stuff also in advance, which is kind of what we did. Like yesterday, prepared everything, had it ready to go. If you have space in your refrigerator, go for it. Like make your life easier when you have the time to do all these kind of preparations.
Yep.
So that let's say that you're running short on time, you need to make a quick meal. Everything's already ready for you to just dump in, right?
Yep. Yeah. You can even like saute all this stuff, like cook it all ahead of time and then just like put it in the fridge and then put it all together.
Okay.
Yeah. You would just want to like you could cook this ahead and you want to kind of reheat it, throw everything together. And yeah, that would work too.
Love it.
And we're getting close, I would say. My celery, my onions, and my carrots are definitely starting to, you can kind of tell the color difference in the carrots and in the onions. So use your best judgment, about 5 minutes or so, but also, depending on, because every stovetop's a little different. So
you're looking for the onions to look a little transparent.
Yeah, and the carrots.
And then
mine kind of brightened up, a little bit of a brighter orange.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yep, and also texture-wise, just a little bit softer than they were when they were raw.
But we're not looking to cook them completely.
Nah, because it's gonna finish. Like we got a lot of other stuff we're gonna add in. So
okay.
So we're gonna turn it down like medium low.
Low. Okay.
Yes. And we're adding flour this early in because we want to make sure to cook the flour taste out, but it is going to help thicken everything. So what we're going to do is just sprinkle the vegetables with the flour, and then we're going to move them all around to coat all of the veg. And again, make sure to turn it down to about medium low or so. And then let this cook for about a minute. Because the next step is we are going to add in the chicken broth so it can start to thicken up.
I'm actually using a vegetable broth today.
Nice. Hey, whatever works. It does not have to be chicken stock. Also, for everybody watching, my chicken stock, whenever I buy it, yes, I know I should make it, but I never do. When I buy it, I always end up buying the sodium-free, salt-free, the unsalted, whatever it says. Sometimes the boxes, because I want to add my own salt. And the regular broths are definitely too salty for me. Even the reduced sodium is a little too much. So
you buy sodium free, 100%.
Yeah, salt free, unsalted. Yep.
Got it. This one is not. So
that's okay.
So
that's okay. So what you can do is just not add in as much salt later on. So this is where like tasting things is important. It's been about a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and add my broth.
I love it. This does smell so good. Oh my gosh.
All right. So I want to make sure, stir it all together, and then we're going to bring it up a notch, take it up a notch. with the heat.
Okay.
So we're going to put it on high. We want to bring it to a boil.
So we're going all the way up. Let's go.
All
Let's
the
go
way up,
for
all
it.
the way up to 11.
All the way up to 11, baby.
Yep. So we're going to bring it to a boil and then reduce it to medium and let it cook for about 5 minutes.
Are you stirring consistently? Can you kind of let it do its thing? Or are you just
You
kind of
can
checking in on it?
A little bit of both.
What are we trying to accomplish here with the flour?
The flour is going to end up thickening it. So we want to bring it up to a boil to kind of get it nice and hot so the flour starts cooking. And what we don't want is like a flour taste by the end of it. So again, that's why we kind of added it in early. We're going to let it bring it up to a boil, and then we'll reduce it to let it kind of simmer for about 5 minutes to start to thicken.
Okay.
And then at that point, we get to add in everything else. Yummy.
I'm so excited. Oh, it's looking like it's thickening up a little bit.
Yes. One way to tell if your sauces or anything are thick enough, it's a little difficult on like a spatula. So I usually take like a fork, a spoon. Really what I want to do is just look at the back of it. And we want like a nappe texture. So that is when you coat the back of the fork. And then if I run my finger halfway through it, it doesn't drip down.
Whoa. Okay. Coat the back of the fork. Run my finger. Yes.
Yep.
What is that called?
Nappe, Nappe, with a little accent. And I'm going to salt this a little bit.
Nappe.
Yes.
You learn something new every day.
The more you know.
The more you know.
All right, now the fun stuff, we get to go ahead and add everything in. So what we're going to do is add in the vegetables, the cream, well, everything but the chicken, I should say. So the vegetables, the cream cheese, the thyme, little salt and pepper. So I'm going to go ahead actually and add the cream cheese in first and stir it a little bit to let it melt.
Oh, whoopsie.
Which you don't have to do. You totally don't have to do.
For it with the veggie. Okay. I'll do the cream cheese next. Okay, good idea. So this was just cream cheese that we chopped into little blocks to make them
because that's going to help with the creamy part.
That is an ingredient that I wouldn't have thought to put in there, but I love cream cheese, so I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, it helps thicken it, helps give a little bit of creaminess to it. We're going to let this all kind of meld together. And another thing too is like the vegetables, depending on what kind of vegetables you use to make this section go a little quicker. Like you can use frozen, you can use canned vegetables. I pre-cooked my vegetables. So in the recipe, it says 8 minutes. It doesn't have to be 8 minutes, to be honest.
Okay. I used frozen vegetables, which are pre-cooked and flash frozen. So similar boat.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of getting everything mixed together. Let the flavors start to meld. I'm going to put a little black pepper in it.
Did you already add the thyme?
Yes, I just added it.
Oh, okay.
So I got my veggies, my cream cheese, thyme, salt, black pepper. And before I add the chicken, I'm going to go ahead and taste it just to see if I want to add more salt. Oh, man, I just want to eat a bowl of this.
That is so good.
And I got to say, like, it's a nice creamy consistency.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to stand here and just eat this. It tastes rich and velvety. And, you know, I think when we're trying to, you know, reduce calories or eat a little healthier, make sure we're eating whole foods, eating whole proteins, and again, plant-based proteins, meats, whatever it is that, you know, is your boat. It's, you know, nice to just be able to have that mouthfeel. You know, it feels still really unctuous and it feels full-fat. All right, I'm going to go ahead now and add in my chicken. And as you can see, I'm using a pretty big pot for this.
Same. Oh my gosh, it's so comforting. I mean, there's snow on the ground. It's finally above sub-zero temperatures here, so it's starting to melt.
Same.
And on our walk with Wally today, there were a lot of sad-looking snowmen that are like, is it spring? But it's still cold. It's still chilly, and this is the perfect thing. This is what I want to eat.
Okay, so now we have our 13 by 9. Go ahead and spray it. I sprayed mine ahead of time. I tend to, and this is silly, but I tend to spray mine ahead of time because inevitably I forget. I
don't forget because you always tell me to do it.
And I only remember to tell you to do it because I did it before. And then now, the fun part. We dump.
We dump. Let's do it. Oh my goodness.
And I'm just going to spread it out.
This is so exciting.
Yum. I'm going to wipe my station down.
Wipe your station down.
Clean as you go. That is one of the best
Um,
things we learned in culinary school because it just makes your life easier.
it's so true.
Yep.
It's just a good rule of life in general, probably. Clean as you go.
Yeah, I only do it in the kitchen, but yeah, it is general.
That's another thing I've been trying to work on is don't put it down, put it away.
Oh God, right.
Like put it where it goes instead of just setting it down for you to collect later.
So I've got my dough, I've got my rolling pin, and I've got a little thing of flour because we always want to
Oh,
flour our surface, flour our roller.
okay.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about 2 ingredient dough. It's become very popular the last few years. I went ahead and I made this the night before. It stays really actually well in the fridge. I also one time even froze it for a couple months and used it and it was perfect. So 2 ingredient dough is literally 2 ingredients. It is self-rising flour and it is yogurt, fat-free plain Greek yogurt. The recipe that I initially always heard was a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, when I made that, it made it too wet. I kept having to add the flour to it. So I cut back. So like if I'm making a pizza dough, I do 1 cup of the flour to 3/4 cup of the yogurt. For this, we want it to be more of a pie crust. So I did 1 cup of flour to 1/2 cup of the yogurt. So with that, it is a little, and Danielle, you can attest to this. It takes a little bit of elbow grease to put it
For
together.
sure.
I've never done this in like my KitchenAid or anything because honestly, it's such a small little batch, and I don't want to overwork the dough too much. So
Ah,
honestly, yeah, put it in a bowl, let it rest for at least an hour. I usually like to do it the night before, but again, if you're running out of time, do it on your lunch break from your remote job if you have one, or do it the
and
morning and
then
get your
go to
workout in eating it.
town.
Yep. And then when I'm resting the dough in the fridge, I am just wrapping it. Nothing exciting with my saran wrap. When it comes to rolling out dough, there's a couple things. So first of
Yes.
all, we want to flour our surface.
Okay.
And I like to do it from a little bit of height just because it covers the space a little more evenly.
Gotcha.
And then I'm going to put a little bit of my hand and I'm going to flour my rolling pin.
Okay.
Now, I have a French rolling pin, as does Danielle. I know a lot of you at home might have the one that has like the moving parts to it. I like this because I control it better. It
Okay.
is kind of a personal preference, but this is the one that I always preferred when I was like in baking and pastry class.
I haven't had much practice with this type of rolling pin because typically I use the one with the 2 handles. And
Yeah.
so this will be an interesting experiment. Okay, so what are you doing? You're kind of
So
stretching it.
I'm kind of stretching it a little bit because what we want to do is we're going to cover this thing. So it's 13 by 9. I'm not good at
Okay.
dimensions, so that's why I like to kind of keep this right here.
Okay.
But I'm getting it started in a bit of a rectangular shape because then I'm going to plop it down. I like to start from the middle, pull it towards me, push it rather away from me. And then what we also want to do though is keep making sure that we rotate the dough because what we don't want to do is have it stick. And then I'm just
Now
going to
mine
rotate.
is a lot more dry and crumbly than yours. And I'm going to attribute that to the fact that I didn't wrap it in saran wrap. I wrapped it in a towel. So it probably got exposed to a little too much air, I'm
Probably,
assuming.
yeah. Yeah.
But
I would just
hopefully
add a little bit of water if you,
add a little water. Okay, let's do
yeah.
that.
Honestly, like put some water on your hands and then kind of sprinkle it. It's not going to take too much. And I'm going to go ahead and just keep rotating. And if you start to notice that your dough is pulling in, like if it's retracting on itself a little too often or a little too much, just throw a damp towel on it and let it rest for a few.
Let's talk about how it's okay to have dough that looks like this. This is a good example of somebody who went to culinary school and somebody who's a home cook, and it's okay. Both will be delicious. They just might not look.
That's okay. Hey, the thing is like it takes time and it takes, practice.
Practice, yes.
And I'm still working from the center, moving my way out. And then like sometimes I'll just kind of run my hands over it to see, oh wait, this part feels a little thicker than this. So I'll give a little attention to this side.
Now, what is the difference between an all-purpose flour and a self-rising flour?
So self-rising flour, and for those of you at home, you can make it yourself. So self-rising flour has baking powder already in it, and a little bit of salt, and then it's AP flour. So it'll give a little bit of puff. And now I'm just kind of like comparing it. and deciding, okay, where do I want to,
Let me see what we
what
got going
else?
on here. I'll move this a little closer.
I think I'm liking mine. And again,
Yours is
just
so
does not have to be
pretty.
perfect. And if you really are like type A, you can always like fold over the bottom and just kind of roll it into itself.
Luckily for me, I'm not type A at all.
There you go. Yeah, usually that's how I am. Like if I'm putting this in like a pie tin to, or like my pie dish to cook, oh, it does not look perfect. But it tastes good and that's all that counts. And so this is what mine ended up looking like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fork and I'm just going to poke some holes in it to let the steam escape. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the crust on top. Now, one little trick, if you wanted to, you can actually like roll the dough like this. And then you're going to put it on top and roll as such.
Stop it. Okay.
Yep. And then if you want to, like, I'm going to stretch out a little bit of the corner just to make sure everything's covered. It doesn't like have to be perfect, but I'm going to cover just a little bit of the corners. Perfect. Yay. And I'm kind of mushing it down a little bit too, mostly just to make sure that like the mixture is even in there so it'll cook evenly. And we have a pot pie. Yay.
Wow.
All right, so now we're going to bake it at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. Now, I always, and this is just my brain, I like to check it halfway through. Now, obviously, there's some things when we cook, we can't do that, like a leavened bread or a cake. You don't want to do that because you're removing the heat from the oven every time you open it. I still like to check it. And sometimes I usually also like to, like 10 minutes through, I'll rotate it just to make sure it's getting evenly cooked. Yeah, because usually the back of my oven is warmer. There's more heat, obviously, coming from the back than the front. So.
Okay, so we're going to put it in for 20, check it 10, rotate it.
Yep.
Check again in another 10 minutes.
Yep, and then let it
cool.
We're looking like. Let it cool a little bit, and then we're going to eat. Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. Our pot pies are cooked. Yay.
They're pot pieing.
They are pot pieing. They're giving pot pie. That thyme in there.
The crust is so good.
Right?
But this filling is so what I think of as traditional pot pie flavor. I mean, you nailed it. It's so delicious.
I try. So I hope everybody enjoys this. Again, filled with protein, filled with veggies, really super easy to throw together. Yeah, so this is our delicious pot pie with a 2-ingredient dough.
Baby.
Yay!